Hi, welcome to Unit 9, to Module 9. In this module, we'll be looking at Hansel and Gretel, or at least begin looking at Hansel and Gretel. The unit learning objectives are to explore the evolution of the tale, looking at commonalities and differences in that evolution. We're going to be examining the role of the psychological in the story, according to Bruno Bettelheim, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in a minute. And we're going to apprehend the symbolic function of the forest in the fairy tale, although I will add that that is an optional portion to this module. There just isn't enough time to cover everything, even though I wish we could. Also, we're going to be looking at the role of food, famine, and it's the way it informs stories of the era. So those pretty much are the unit learning objectives. So what are we going to be doing in this unit? Well, in this unit, we're going to be examining the folk fairy tale as a repository of catastrophic events. We're going to be looking at the cannibalistic, which we see through the witch wanting to cook the children and fatten them up, which is a common theme in fairy tales. If you ever get a chance to look outside of this course, you will see that the idea of children as food is quite a common one. Then you're also going to be looking at psychological aspects of this tale, as I'd said through Bruno Bettelheim. And I think the two go hand in hand in a way. We look at his idea is sublimation, how things get sublimated in order to deal with them. And we certainly see in this tale a very strange confluence of things. We have the stepmother who not only has the father abandon the children in the woods once, but she has them abandon the children in the woods twice in order for them to survive. So she's sacrificing the children for her own survival, rather than what we would normally see as the opposite, whereas the mother sacrifices herself for her children. And you may be saying to yourself, yes, but she's the stepmother, she's not the mother. But in fact, when this story was first published, she was the mother, but there was such an outcry from readers of this tremendously popular anthology that had this tale in it, that on the second printing, they decided to change the mother to stepmother, hence the birth of the wicked stepmother in popular culture. So it's quite a difficult tale. It's quite a dark story. In addition to being thrown out of the house and left to die, the children then, upon being saved, are in fact saved by somebody who wants to eat them. So food or lack thereof forms a huge subtext to this story. And we have to look at the period in which this tale was told, and to look at famine and how it raged through Europe over centuries. It was a common problem, and it still is today, but perhaps not where we live, but certainly in other parts of the world. And so this cultural, this social problem that existed, particularly with peasant folk, who would have been the ones listening to these tales, famine was I lost my train of thought. Famine was a problem, was something that they dealt with daily in farming communities, how to keep the animals alive, how to keep the children alive. All those hands were needed to work on the farm. And then as entertainment at night, we must look back and remember the function of the tale, right? The function of the tale was to entertain. But what happens is that bits and pieces of life become embedded in those tales with each retelling. And so it's entirely possible and plausible that famine, the tales being told, everybody's hungry, they're listening to the tales, and the storytellers incorporate these very real life catastrophes into that tale. And the tale on and so on goes the tale until it's eventually written down by the Brothers Grimm and others too. So I think that's pretty much where I'm going to stop now. We'll talk more about everything else online. Good luck.